This is Comic Picks by the Glick.
And I'm your host, Jason Glick.
How you doing, Jason Glick?
I'm doing good, John, and as we're recording this right now, we are just itching with anticipation for heading out to Fanime later this week.
Yes, Fanime Con up in San Jose. One of the last honest cons.
We say that like a joke, but it's honestly the best. I mean, like when you say last honest cons, I think last honest pizza, like Round Table, and Round Table is the best, really.
Yes, exactly, indeed. So, what do you have on tonight's agenda?
Okay, well, as promised last week, I am talking about Eric Powell's creator-owned series, The Goon, which has been running at Dark Horse for well over a decade now. And if you've been reading my reviews on the site for a while, you'll notice that I've kind of been up and down on the series recently. I mean, it's like on one hand, it's I feel the early stuff is just great inspired horror comedy, and yet the last couple of volumes, well, let's say it's gone and employed a more dramatic shift that has overwhelmed the comedy to my detriment, at least. But I also want to pick up on something else that I talked about at the very end of the last podcast. Back in the day when it's like webcomics were a huge new big thing, there was this one site called WebSnark run by a guy by the name of Eric Burns. Guy was very smart. Lots of insightful commentary. I read his stuff religiously up until the day that I didn't. Now, but for me at least, there are two things that he basically gave me that I will always keep in mind. One is the Cerebus syndrome. Now, Cerebus is the long-running creator-owned series from Dave Sim, started in the 70s, ran through the early aughts. Basically, defined creator-owned stuff for a good long while. And it started off as a silly sword and sorcery parody of the Conan sword and sorcery stuff with an aardvark instead of a barbarian. Now it's the first 25 issues or so are just fun, goofy stuff until Sim started tackling more positive, more socially relevant stuff like politics and religion, gender relations, and oh god, it was for a while though it was the best thing ever. But then Sim went off on his not misogynistic tangents. No siree. When you start talking about how women are voids that suck the creativity out of men, that's not misogynistic at all. But that's a completely different argument right there. But the idea is that slowly, Sim took inserted drama into his comedy series, and became a much better one for that. One that basically helped define an era and an industry as well. So basically, that's the thing. When you add drama to comedy and you pull it off, it's to broaden your audience and deepen the work you're doing. That's the Cerebus syndrome. Now, you may be asking, so what happens when you start with a comedy and you add drama and you don't broaden your audience? What happens when you alienate the fans who liked your series in the first place? Well, that's what Burns called the First and 10 syndrome. First and 10, well, I don't even remember this series, but it was apparently one of the first shows that HBO started that basically involved a woman running an NFL team. Sounds like a recipe for hilarity, right? Well, as far as I can tell, or at least what I remember from Burns saying, is that it ran for a couple seasons, and they started, and when the comedy approach didn't work out, they started making things a bit more dramatic, and that just sunk the ship even faster. To this date, I'm not even sure how many seasons of the series are available on DVD, if any are at all. But for him, though, that's the opposite of the Cerebus syndrome. When you add drama to a comedy, and it just alienates both audiences. The Goon, by volume 15, which is the final volume that I'll be buying for the series, pretty much winds up in First and 10's territory. But let me talk about the beginning, which basically is all about it's like a 1920s, 1930s milieu, which has a big burly guy fighting off the undead on his side of town, and also taking on the zombie priest at the other end of the town, who are it's like who's running, he's running his racket of zombies, and it's like, and the series starts off with like great fun. I mean, you got weird, wacky stuff like the talking chainsaw, Mickey the Saw, Jimmy the Ball, who's like a midget who grew up with his right arm stuck in a left arm stuck in a bowling ball, and just, like, it's just giant, huge, muscly thing. It's like it's like, and that's, and also like the bionic the bionic garbage man, it's like this giant mutant that it's meant to replace personal protection and sanitation. So like it's weird stuff, and like the series just kept going off on like weird ass stuff, like homeless people running about like um running off about how this tan is the best thing ever. Smelly Steve and his hand, who he just was chewing on one day. It's like, again, it's like inflatable chickens, um burlesque, sex starved burlesque girls, amorous sea hags, skunk pie loving skunk apes, just great goofy stuff. And also like Goon's crazy ass buddy Frankie, who's always going knife to the eye. It's like in the beginning, it was great, goofy fun, and even though like like there was like hints of drama like in the early days, like like whenever they said no, like hey, at least this wasn't as bad as Chinatown. Don't talk about Chinatown. So it's like like drama has not been completely alien to the Goon, but in rereading all of this, it's like I've realized that. I mean, like there like Powell has like he's always had drama in the background, but at the same time though, it hasn't always overwhelmed the goofy humor that I liked about it. I mean, yeah, he put it all aside for the story of Chinatown, which was a great. I mean, at the time, like this is volume 6 in the 15 volumes so far. We figured, okay, yeah. So this is you want to like stop doing the funny stuff for a while? Okay, hey, it's like this serious stuff. This is a good side story, but then as things go on, it's like it just keeps the drama keeps getting more and more present. Especially, I mean, when I looked at my review for volume 14, I realized that and I was going off about the you know like why isn't there about the negative portrayal of women in that volume more than anything else. But I'm looking rereading the entire series, I realize, it's just like it's a matter of tone more than anything else, and the women too. It's like, to be honest, the Goon does suffer a dearth of positive female characters in it. I mean, aside from the Goon's Aunt Kizzy, the carnival strong woman who who raised him to be like the upstanding man he is today. It's like, and she died before the series started. There aren't really any upstanding female role characters like in this. It's like in the series, they're either like heartbreakers or harpies, both literally and figuratively. It's like, or just it's like femme fatales. So that's kind of bothersome, but also just the fact that it's like at the same time, like like Powell has decided that he wants to pursue this like this dramatic tone for the series, like over its comedic roots. Now, I people will recall that I picked Powell and Tim Weish's it's like Big Man Plans is one of the best series I read last year. It was a brutal, bracing read about about a small person who had been marginalized by society and just felt the need to just like take his revenge. It's like it was incredible. It's like nostril clearing in its violence and straightforwardness. But and the reason and it's not entirely dissimilar from what Powell does in the later volumes of the Goon, particularly these last 2 volumes, Occasion of Revenge and Once Upon a Hard Time. The difference is that it doesn't have the baggage of the Goon. This is not a series that it started out as a comedy and slowly transitioned toward drama. It didn't have that baggage, and so when Powell goes, it's like full violent, full dark in Big Man Plans. It's like he's not fighting against like the goofy roots that the series had. So with the Goon though, it's like I'll always appreciate the funny stuff in the beginning, it's like more than the drama that it became. So that's kind of like how I feel about the series overall. And as for volume 15 specifically, well, okay, it starts off, it's like with the goon just completely bent on revenge after finding out the girl that he had fallen in love with. Um, it's like had turned out to be a harpy, literally, and was just manipulating him for her own ends. Now he's off the deep end. He's looking some hurt on some of the bad guys, and even like some of the people who aren't bad guys, like Spider, the literal Spider, who's just kind of like a shit of a character. Um, but he'll just like Goon just breaks off a couple legs just for like looking at him funny. So then you have him, but he's also just like kind of holding on, just barely holding on to his sanity after like Kid Gargantuan, the boxer who he had watched like the charge from the gangster in the previous volume in exchange for the guns to fight off the Arab and his other it's like guys like in the last volume. Yeah, it's continuity, I know, but it's like it's but it's like it's like you figure like after like we've been led to believe the goon like killed Kid Gargantuan for failing in his duty to us like protect this guy, or that he succumbed to his own like feelings for revenge. But the goon, like I said, he's like this first issue of Once Upon a Hard Time says the goon at his lowest point, and just like looking to like dish out hurt to anyone. It's like who's done him wrong, and it's like and is it's like and it works for, and on one hand it works for a while. It's like I mean like this for like I was expecting like Powell to go full dark, and we're going to get like a series where like the goon just like makes like all sorts of bad decisions, and eventually just winds up dead at the end. Well, that's not what happens. Like that's the first issue. Second issue is the classic illustrated version of the Island of Doctor Moreau, which it's like I mean I can see Powell's feelings that he wants to compare like the goon's mindset that to that of the beasts of H.G. Wells' novel, but at the same time you get the feeling that like Powell just that in the middle of this climactic story, Powell just felt like I want to do like a classic illustrated thing right here. So it's like it's kind of a frustrating diversion that for all that even if it does that like for all of its artistic merit, it's like it doesn't like I said, it doesn't quite work in the context of the story. I mean, then you get the it's like then the next issue gets things back on track. We find out the origin of the skin face on the zombie priest's hat. We get it's like let's see, we get the goon like getting setting up the final confrontation with Longfingers, which happens in all of like a couple pages in the first, it's like the first in the final issue, and also the Arab getting control of the it's like of the mutant ghost that the zombie priest had taken care of in order to observe the power of the town's curse. It's like in it's like in this it's like in this series, and it's like I said, I was hoping for a like I said a full dark, like the goon succumbs to his worst impulses and then dies horribly. It's like and then everyone like goes on their separate ways afterwards. No, we don't get that. Instead, it's like we get the power of love basically redeems all and saves the worthy, and the bad guys are dead, and it's like it just doesn't work for me. Like I said, the way like after embracing like just utter seriousness for these past two volumes, and then just to not follow through with that to offer like like hope, it's like it just doesn't feel right. I'm not someone who likes darkness for the sake of darkness. And if you got a good reason for it, then I'll be then I'm all into that. But the Goon here, it just kind of feels like Powell just didn't want to kill his meal ticket, even though it's like the tone he established um felt like that's the way he was going. So that's really disappointing. And even in the end, like we get this the free comic book story that has the Goon, Frankie, and saying that one werewolf kid taking on a racist southern vampire. It's kind of like it's like he's trying to channel some of the comedy of the good old days, but it just doesn't work. I mean, at the end of this, I'm feeling, okay, I know how this arc is going to end, and even though Powell sets up a new follow-up series called The Lords of Misery, I'm gonna say no. I'm done. It's like these 15 volumes. It's like some of them were really good, were really funny. The Return of Labrazio arc from the Goon year, where Powell did 12 issues monthly, was great in the sense that it had a nice balance of drama, but also with absurd comedy as well. But with these last couple of volumes, I mean, Powell has just basically shown a complete willingness to disregard the it's like the comedy of the it's like of the early volumes, just what really made the series for me. So yeah, basically my feelings are this. If you want to read the Goon, I guess buy the first four volumes if you like the comedy stuff. If you want to see like at its best, I guess buy up to volume 9, which is the end of the Labrazio arc. There's some good stuff after that. It doesn't really start heading off. I'm trailing off until volume like 13, but uh, I don't know. It's like I said, I'm done with it. I'm not going to follow this Lords of Misery stuff. But if Powell does want to do like other creator-owned stuff, like say like along the lines of big man plans, and I will be all for that. But otherwise, well, the Goon, he's dead to me now. Like I got all the best stuff, and that is the end. John, any thoughts on your end about all this?
So a mixed bag.
Yeah, it's a very mixed bag. Something I was really passionate about when I was reading like the first when I was buying the volumes initially as they came out from Dark Horse, especially with the like I said, the first 4 volumes are really unimpeachable. Volume 5 is when like the drama starts to really starts to seep into a noticeable extent. But yeah, I mean some of it is just fantastic, but at this point, it's just kind of like I'm just gonna call it a day and say no more because the direction he wants to go, that Eric Powell wants to go, it's not something I'm interested in following.
Okay. Well, hey, there's a candid review from Mr. Jason Glick, and next time we'll be coming to you from Fanime.
Yes, and my friend Steve will be back to talk about series he actually likes because I feel after dragging him into Future Diary and Wounded Man, I owed him the chance to talk about stuff that he actually enjoys.
Well, this will be a fun-filled episode then that we're going to be recording. So we'll catch you next time on Comic Picks by the Glick.
All right, later's.
Bye.